Let's install a Maxxair fan. Hey guys, if you're looking at installing a Maxxair exhaust fan in your shuttle bus or bus conversion, we're going to show you how to put one in and also talk a little bit more about why you put it and where you put it that makes the most sense based on the specifics of your bus. So this project is obviously a gigantic shuttle bus. We've got 29 feet from behind the driver's seat up here all the way to the back down here. And so a lot of things you want to consider when you're planning to do your Maxxair fan. One of the big ones is, first off, what kind of solar are you putting on your roof? This one we've got, looks like you'd have all the space in the world up there to put your fan, but we're going with 250 watt panels on this, and so placing them along the length of the rig this way on each side, there's only enough room down the middle to just barely squeeze in the fan. Always keep in mind the hole that you cut for a Max fan in particular is 14 by 14, but that doesn't mean you're going to have, it's only going to take up 14 inches on the roof. So be sure to measure the actual size of your fan to do your determination and your size configurations for what you're going to have up on your roof. That we're going to be installing here, and as you can see, the hole for the fan itself is actually is only 14 by 14. But the upper section of it is actually about at least 16 edge to edge for the length, 22, 23-ish in that range. So if you're going to put your solar panels on your roof, make sure you consider where your fan's going to go and give yourself enough room, because it needs to open and close freely, and you have to be able to get around, move around a little bit up there to give yourself any maintenance or work you got to do on your roof. So be sure to keep that. Our solar panels are 39 inches wide. We got two of them going up on the roof of these guys here. So for that to work and have the fan mounted anywhere down the center of the bus means that you got to be very, very, specific and very clear about where you want them. But it pushes those panels out quite a bit to the edge of the bus. It's actually putting in a mini split air conditioning system. In a rig this big, I would recommend typically 2 Max fans at either end of a build like this, so at times you can have one blowing in, one blowing out to kind of draw air through. She's going to have the mini split about 3/4 of the way in the length of the bus here, where her bed is right here. We're going to put the other fan all the way down here at the very end of the bus. That way it doesn't infringe at all with the solar panels and where their placement can be on the roof. And with the mini split midway or more down that way, if this fan's on, it can help draw that cooler air back to the back of the bus if necessary. Also, this will be kind of the living room area of the bus, and that way it can be used for blowing cooler air in and or out in the actual place where you're sitting and hanging out most of the time. So we're going to put it all the way in this very last bay here at the very end. Again, this one has got the steel supports at 24 inches on center. We've already furred out a little bit here, two layers of 1/2-inch plywood. It's all going to get additional spray foam insulation in here between all these. So you want to get your fan in before you do your insulation, obviously, so that you're not having to cut out and waste that insulation. So yeah, we're going to mount this one right in the middle in the very last bay here. We need 14 by 14 for our rough opening. And I'm going to keep it, we already have this side, so I'm going to use that as the one edge to start from. So we'll go 14 inches over this way, find our center point here, and go out 7 inches. You want a symmetrical build, which I'm a little anal about symmetry, and you want to make sure you're actually right in the center of the bus. Sometimes that can be a little tricky, is to figure out exactly how to actually find your center point. So what I'm going to do here quick to show you, we've already got some framing on the side walls. And so our width here is right at 94 inches. 94 is what? 47, right? 47 equals 94. So let's give ourselves a center point mark here. people a lot of the times tend to want to try to use a level when they're doing builds like this. Unless you've placed your rig perfectly level in every perfect way, your level's pretty much useless. If you go with that, you're just getting, the line of your level is gonna be level, but it doesn't have any correlation to the reality of how your bus is or how your rig is set up. So the square is your friend, the classic framing square. So what we can do is, I'm gonna use the door frame here as the line to work off of here, to take the line up to the top in the middle up here. So lining that up there and there. Doesn't quite reach, but I'm gonna use my edge here and give or take a 1/16. I think we're pretty much right on center there. Now, carry that out off the back wall this way. Got our center line there and center point over here. All right, so now that we have a center point, again, we need a 14 by 14 square for rough opening. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over from my center point 7 inches. Right here, and then that means 14 is over here. Again, I'm going to have my 14 by 14 is going to be using this as one of the edges here. Instead of trying to go up on the roof, measure it all out and figure out, and maybe end up a little too far over and end up on top of your port beam, what you can do is just take a long, simple drill bit, go straight up from your mark, once you know you've double checked all your measurements, and go ahead and drill a hole straight up through at this point and at this point, and then you use those as your reference points to do your 14-inch markings also up on the roof. So yeah, I've got a 3/16 bit in here, and so what I've done, again, I'm following my marking here. Again, this is always a little scary. You're putting a hole in your roof, so again, double check all your measurements, make sure you've got everything right where you want it. I've got our 14 inches here. Double check it one more time just to be sure. 14, yes sir, Baba. Take our drill, lining up with your 14 mark here, nice and straight up, right alongside your support brace here, and bite the bullet and drill a hole. I see daylight. So now, take the square up on the roof, and you know you can use those 2 points and this line to go create your 14-inch markings on the roof before you start cutting, and get yourself dead center and right where you need to be. All right, so I want to clean your area real thoroughly here. I've got my holes here where that I pre-did up from underneath, so I know the rough area here. I'm not going to clean the entire roof right now. I'm just going to clean the area here, so we'll have a nice clean surface to work with here.
Don't slow too much water because you don't want to fill up the holes either.
And it's getting hot. Sweating on my glasses already. Oh, that's fun. That's so much fun. Trying to do this before it gets too crazy hot today here in sunny Florida.
That part of the clean, I'll take an extra
Rag here or paper towel, dry it off. And get to marking our hole. All right, so as I mentioned, I got my 2 holes here that I know are right next to this support beam here. We want to do our 14-inch square on this side right here in the middle. So using our handy dandy square as our gauge, Sharpie. You know, we're at 14 inches as the holes are 14 inches apart, right like that. So we make our one line, should be right along our beam on this side, and then we can go out 14 this way, which is where, hard to see this, 14 is right here.
Flip around the other side. 14. Easier.
Again, with a square, you know you're getting a square opening. Here's our hole. Now he's got to, before I start cutting out my hole with a simple circular saw here, I've set it fairly shallow because I don't want to, got to be a little careful. This is a fiberglass top on this, so you don't want to tear out the fiberglass, chew things up too bad before you go through. So, and when I do that, I'll be wearing my respirator because fiberglass is pretty dangerous, pretty nasty stuff. I'm gonna put on the mask. So yeah, so the fan's gonna need to be, the flange screws all the way around on all four sides. And as you can see right now, all I've got is my little bit of plywood with fiberglass and some foam here, here, and here. Over here we'll have a good steel piece running across here to secure to. So what we want to do is get some framing up in here so that when we go to secure the top, we actually have something good solid to screw into. So that's what we do. So basically just marking back 1.5 inches around the edges here. And so what I'll do is I'll trim back the foam, get that out of my way, get a couple of pieces this way, and then I'll have a piece that I can just connect in across this. So yep, got the spots all prepped here. Cut the insulation out so that the framing can go right on in the voids there. She is ready to frame it out. Works out to 2.5 inches is what I've got from here to the bottom of my little plywood here. So that's what I ripped my pieces down to, so that everything should be all on the same plane here when we're done. Framing to attach to, and we gotta make sure our fan stays put. All right, so we've got our hole cut. You want to have the flange just has drops down in there with this little edge kind of dropping right in. You want to make sure that these little clips that are on here are on the sides of your facing the direction the fan's going to go. If you go put it this way, you're going to have trouble because your fan will want to stick this way. It won't mount the other way. So make sure you get that oriented the right way. I've got 1.5 inch butyl tape that'll go underneath the whole. All right, so starting to screw it down through the butyl. I'm using these nice stainless screws that are provided with the fan. I actually have some self-tapping screws about the same size that I'll need to use for this run because those are right over the steel support beam there. But got a few started. Just drive them in nice and tight till you see the butyl start to ooze out a little bit. You don't want to over tighten and break the plastic. This is all plastic, so you don't want to get too crazy. Just go enough to tighten her down good and secure it down, and we'll be ready for the next step. So if you do have to use any kind of screws that are not the ones that come with it, make sure that they are stainless. These are stainless self-tapping screws. Again, these will be going right into the framing or the actual steel support here. Making sure it's not going to go anywhere. So in the instructions it says at this point to connect your wires up to the wiring to the fan. We don't actually have our wiring to the fan yet, so I'm going to just skip to the next step, which is getting this guy mounted. Again, we've got our 4 bracket points right here that attach to it, but you want to open the whole thing up so that you can access these holes up here. See, right now the flanges, or this thing's in the way. You can't actually get at them, so you have to open the actual unit like that manually. All the way open. Now, pass our wires down through. And she sets right down in there, like that. Those little clips that were there should line up. The holes should line right up. Those little clips kind of can slide and move a little bit, so you got to make sure they're aligned with the holes where you need them. Oh, really hate humidity. Sweated all over my glasses, so I can't see what I'm doing. All right, so yeah, sometimes you have to move those little clips up a little bit to make sure that they're in line for the holes. Well, there you go, guys. That's how you install a Maxxair fan in your shuttle bus or other type of rig that you might need to install a fan in. Hope you got some good information from this. So Max fans have a whole bunch of different levels. You can get a fairly simple cheap one for about 130 bucks to up to 300 plus for fancier ones that have remote controls, multiple speeds in and out, quite a few different things. Again, we're not sponsored by them, but that's what we have and we love it. Put 2 into this new rig. And if you're interested in buying one or getting one for your own build, if you click the link in the description, you can order it through our Amazon Associates page, and we'll get a little commission for it. So helps us a little bit to keep rolling along here on the road. And if you're going to buy it anyway, why not do that? And I wish we would have done that when we were buying a lot of our gear for our build. We could have been helping other creators when we were buying all of our stuff through Amazon. So anyway, hope that was again useful for you and informative. And again, if you like it, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you can follow along on this entire big shuttle bus build and all the other details that'll be coming up. Thanks.